Good morning, everybody. I'm just chilling, man. I'm giving it a little bit of time. Sometimes I just go live, jump on, and start talking. But today's subject, as you see, is the power of 5 a.m. Welcome in, man, to the legacy of learning. It's Ron Raphael coming to you once again from one of my favorite places in the entire world, and that's with you. Oh, man. I'm gonna let it play for a minute. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. What's up, everybody? It's Ron Raphael coming to you once again, as I said before, from one of my favorite places in the entire world. And that's Inglewood, California. Hey, man, as you see in the thumbnail, it says 5 a.m., the power of 5 a.m. And it is so powerful. Morning. There's nothing more spiritual. And I know. Look, I'm on it again, right? The 10 life value system. Number one, there's nothing more spiritual. Nothing more spiritual than morning. I don't know if you agree. A little bit off the path of where we're going today, but on live I get to do this, man. I get to talk about different things, but yes, morning. 5 a.m. in the morning, very spiritual. You'll find it is very hard. I've always been a morning person. I don't know why. All day person, actually. I'm not going to lie to you. All day, morning till night. I want to be up, out, getting it, doing whatever I need to do. Outside of rest, I'm ready to go. But morning, it's one of the most spiritual times. And I think it's a universal understanding amongst human beings that there's a special time, a better time, even in our religious practice, globally, universally as people. We tend to attack our spirituality early to set the tone, the foundation for our day, right? So early is good. The earlier the better in regards to getting in touch with your spirituality and giving that space before you have to get into life, get into the car, get the kids in the car, throw your books in the car, depending on what stage of life you're in. But you got some place to be if you're a productive individual. Don't worry, man, we're flying this as we go. So you got some place to be. But why morning and 5 a.m., for example? But by the way, I'm normally up by 4:30. I'm not going to lie. One of my neighbors leaves to go to work. I get up early as well anyway. But I tend to hear it if I have slept sound for most of the night. And it's around that time, which isn't a problem for me because I get up soon after at about 4:50, almost 5 o'clock. I literally do this every day. And the reason why I found this to be extremely valuable, I found it out another way. Even though I've had this practice for some time and I've struggled with, we always like to sleep in a little bit, just a little bit. But I found the value in this working an independent entrepreneur schedule under which I was able to get up in the morning, whatever time that was, but then start work in late morning or early afternoon, and then work throughout the entire space. What I found is that when I started work mid-afternoon, I got up early anyway. And I spent 2 or 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours being extremely productive with other things I needed to do. The other, well, be it workout, plan something else, contact people, make calls, stuff outside of working on specific projects. And I was completely rejuvenated by the process. I said, wow, putting some buffer, some time in between when you wake up and when you have to be somewhere. And the more time you put in between those things, the better my day was going. So that's something I discovered. And then when I started doing film work, sweet hour, or what they would call golden hour, is at sunrise and sunset, where the sun or the light is at the lowest declination in relationship to the horizon, and you get beautiful pictures. So you'll find that filmmakers, people that add practices that add up to habits, that add up to results, filmmakers do this process too, and we do it for capturing beautiful images. And one of the building blocks for that mind state or thought process is making sure that we catch the light, the sunlight, as often as possible at the horizon or somewhere around it, because above is a harsh light and it's really not flattering. So that's why we do this. So morning, there's a bunch of reasons for morning, but the number one reason is spirituality, to be able to connect with no one else around. It's quiet. It's the place of least distraction throughout your entire day. If you have family, kids, friends, roommates, or even if you're all alone, you may have neighbors, and like myself, live in a flight path right beneath the LAX flight path in Inglewood, California. So there's all these distractions. But there's a certain time the planes have to stop flying. And there's a certain time they have to give us to sleep at night. And that's when I find it to be the quietest here. So it is very quiet, which means you can concentrate on something you needed to do. And it's very smart to do this because you can take an hour or two to complete a task that is very important, where else no one would be demanding your time. It's a good time to be up, even if it's just to take a walk and do nothing at all but to heat up my tea. Be right back. What I was about to do. I cannot have this segment without the tea. But anyway, heat up my tea for this segment. It's really important. Okay. All right, it's part of my morning routine, and I kind of feel like disjointed without it. And that's my tea. And it's water, basically hot water, right? But what it does for your digestive system, if you have some bubbles in there, it actually helps with that. So it helps get rid of gas, and it actually tastes good, and it's a better alternative, especially if it's decaffeinated, to coffee. Nothing wrong with coffee, do your thing. But I'm on another journey, a spiritual journey, first of all, but secondly, I'm on this journey. That journey you're looking at, the spirituality journey, the journey of the 10 life value system. But anyway, I digress. Back to what we're talking about here. Today, okay, back at it, we're talking about 5 a.m. and 5 a.m. being thereabouts. I think it's better than 6. Really is. People they herald 6, but 5 a.m. gives you that buffer, that time to do exactly what you want and to completely relax. And when you have to get out there to the rest of the day, you're not rushed. You enter the day and you offer the world and the people you intend to serve the relaxed, poised, prepared version of yourself. Preparation. Those hours allows you to prepare for the show of life. And we all know that preparation, piss poor preparation leads to, but anyway, all that is involved in morning for me in 5 a.m. But it's funny, the other day, to where I'm going is why I pulled up this caption on the bottom there. The other day, I got up really early and I had been on other assignments distracting me from this thing that I love to do, which is talk to you about your calling, your success, and helping you find it in that order. And but prior to all of that, the foundations, the building blocks that you have to put into place to understand who you are, how you learn, and to achieve your goal of getting on the on-ramp to your intellectual prowess, which ultimately will be needed. We need you to be strong mentally. And the brain is a muscle. So before you get to your calling, you need to be working that muscle out. There's no easy way. But by the time you get to your calling, we're going to need that muscle to be at its optimum functionality so you can serve humanity. And humanity then rewards you back. Remember, tenfold happens. Even though that's not the goal, it happens. So that's what this talk was all about. And the building blocks for habits, as it says here. So as I said, I get up and I'm up early and I've been doing a bunch of other things the past month or two. And I knew it would be hard to get back going again. In fact, I was kind of unmotivated, actually. A couple of reasons. Needing help with this project making process and realizing that I needed to focus on one project at a time, which is you. And that's what I'm doing right now. But I know when that happens, not to stick in it, not to wallow in it. And I reach for a motivational tool. And the tool I reached for this time was this gentleman. And his name is Dan Martell. Now, I don't advocate or not advocate. I fish around and I find successful people, whether they look like me or not, whether I'm just looking to connect with positive, successful people. Just a caveat. So I'm not a fan, I'm not recommending, but at the same time, please do go check them out. Why not? Check out everybody who intends to serve humanity and offer you something. Why not? Check it out. And on YouTube, it's completely free. So on this day, when I'm trying to restart my engine to get back to doing this, I find this guy and I say, hey, this is a good place to be. Let me see what he's talking about. Because the title of this thing is 13 Habits. Hold on, let me go back to it really quickly. Hold on just a moment. It's 13 Habits. Here it is, 13 Hacks to be 99.9% more disciplined. So yes, that brings us to the topic of our talk today. Discipline. Right? So the reason why it came up is because it's the hardest thing to maintain. And once you lose momentum with discipline, you got to jumpstart yourself again. And just like a car, I need to hook my battery up to another battery and give myself a jolt. And this is where I ended up, right? So it's time to get going. It's time to get back on YouTube. It's time to start posting weekly. And another buzzword that we'll talk about today is commitment. But slightly different. I'm writing on my pad. People look at commitment, but the word I like to use more than commitment is to decide. Because I think that comes before commitment. You got to decide, right? So anyway, that's the last portion of what we're going to talk about, and I think it's really cool. So remind me to come back to the 3 steps to achieving any goal. All right? That's the last thing we're going to do before we get out of here. But anyway, long story short, So I run into this guy, and his thing says 13, as I showed you before, right? Towards discipline. And in fact, in his thumbnail, it says discipline. And I know, hey, I'm human. I need discipline. So a guy that has lots of views has a video with the title or the thumbnail that says discipline. He's very successful. And I know that discipline is one of the building blocks for success. So I click on his video. And so that's where we're going to go now. We're going to check out Dan Martell's video and listen to his principles. And we're going to go over it. Now, what's really unique about this is, and this is the catch, this is the beautiful part of our conversation today, is that as I'm going through this video, and I'm going, yeah, one sounds good. Oh, this sounds familiar. Two, I'm reminded about this. Because mind you, even the greatest athletes of all time have had coaches. Yeah, they paid millions of dollars for these all different types of coaches, strength coaches, this, that coaches. So it is very customary for successful people to reach out for other people to help them stay on point, other successful people to follow and emulate, to watch. And you should do the same thing too. Have a group of people that is in your list of people that I would like to be like someday. It doesn't have to stay static. You can rotate these people in and out. But anyway, whole nother topic, whole nother conversation. So he starts off. And after a moment, I realized that this guy has some really good stuff and it's coming from the heart. He's lived this stuff, right? You know what I mean? And he's had results. So I said, okay, cool. I've landed on the right place today. But after a few minutes into this thing, some of the information started to sound like deja vu. I'm like, some of this stuff really sounds familiar. And it reminded me of another publication that I have in my library called The Legacy of Learning. And the subject being discipline. In his offering, his video, his content, I said, wow, man, this really sounds familiar, like something I know about. And it turns out to be that it's in the very first chapter of my book, my offering to you. And it says here, my introduction, and then I offer a 4.0 GPA cheat sheet that I give away all the time. And if you would like my GPA cheat sheet, just go to ronraphael.com or legacylearningcubed.com and go on over to the email section and send me an email and say, hey, Ron, send me my free copy of my GPA cheat sheet. Now, the GPA cheat sheet mirrors this guy's video. So anyway, my first chapter says the pregame warm-up, the mindset, getting yourself ready for whatever task that you have at hand, whatever goal you desire to achieve. There's the foundation, right? Getting things together, and the details are inside, but I'm not going to go into those. Then there's the structure. And third of all, and these things are delineated and talked about, chapter after chapter, paragraph, paragraph, all designated for these separate things here. Structure, foundation, and lastly, discipline. So not only making myself feel good with the information that I'm getting from him, which is getting me going, you know, basically the coach is saying, you can do this, get your ass up, get going, stop being a punk. He's that kind of guy. He's like literally, for lack of a better term, a man's man. He talks to men or people that like listening to men the way men talk and the way men prefer to listen. So a good guy to listen to if you're on that type of thing. So you just talk straight, man. It's not flowery, it's straight up. Get your butt up, get to work. And I use that, that's me as well. So I think we got along in that respect. So he starts talking about these things, and they start reflecting on me is that the stuff is in here. So I'm starting to feel good, as I said before, for two reasons. One, because of his information, and then secondly, because great minds think alike. I'm thinking like him. He's successful. Maybe I'm on the right path. Maybe we're on the right path. And I think we are. And so I'm thinking, okay, cool. This stuff is really good. And so I'm happy because I've written a book that specifies on building the initial building blocks of your intellect, but the overall approach, especially for the first 3 chapters, echoes what successful people are already talking about. I've spent a lifetime working on this muscle, including others, you know what I mean? I'm pretty much in shape. But the one up here has been the paramount muscle. And I'm glad to see that I've been on the right path. All right? So anyway, so let's talk about his video, man. Let's see what he's got to talk about. And what he has to say is, let's listen. So, Dan Martell, the 99% more disciplined, right? This is where he's coming from. How do you get here? How do you get to, where is it? How do you get to being more disciplined, right? Okay, I need it for that day. I need it. Let me move me up a little bit. I need it for that day. How I get to be is below me now. How I get to be more disciplined was the talk of that day. So we're going to do a comparison right now. The comparison is between his video and my book, right? So let's check it out. Let's see what's going on here. We're going to start from the beginning with him, and I'm going to let him rock, and then I'll let him cook, and I'll move ahead to each thing and try to get it done as quickly as possible so we can get the essence of it. And let's start it from the beginning.
That costs nothing. These are the strategies that I use to go from distracted. I'm going to share the 13 hacks that can make anyone 99% more disciplined that costs nothing. These are the strategies that I use to go from distracted, broke 23-year-old with ADHD to consistently crushing every hard task without fail and building a $100 million empire. You can start using these hacks today, even if you lack motivation. So without further explaining.
Can y'all still hear me? No, I think I took him out. Let me put him back in.
Could easily be solved if you just went to bed on time. How do I get up at 4 a.m. every day with?
Okay, let's run it back just in case. Basically, his first part of this is talking about when he's getting up.
That literally has 7 morning alarms. He wakes up, he hits the snooze button. He wakes up again, snooze button again. And he's got a snooze alarm set every 15 minutes. What are you doing? Why are you laying in bed? Do you know what you tell yourself when you do this? Is that life is a snooze, and you're better off just laying there than not getting up and attacking the day.
Okay, so you see what he has to say.
Most of your problems could easily be solved if you just went to bed on time. How do I?
So here we go. So here's what he's talking about. I mean, I didn't want to stop him on his bathroom run here. But he's absolutely right. It's not about getting up early. Most of the problem is,
if you just went to bed on time.
Most of the problem is solved by going to bed early. So really simple. These things are really simple. And in fact, it's in the book here. One of the first things in the chapter on health and taking care of yourself, I believe that's in the first or second chapter, because before you tackle any goal or problem, you have to take care of you first, right? The first thing is to identify and get close to who you are, your essence, which is spirituality. Second is your health. Because why? You're going to need you. And you're going to need yourself operating at your optimum level. Optimal level. I think both of those words actually work there. Optimum and optimal. Let me know. But yeah, if you're going to tackle a goal, something so important that it's going to be life-changing, or it's going to take so much work and effort that it's going to change everything in your life based on that. Outside of getting in shape itself as the goal, the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that your head is right, your head space, by working on the things that motivate you and move you, limiting the things that do the opposite. Reading, thinking positively, listening to positive people. That's all mental work. But then there's the body, the health. You're going to need this part, the lower part below the neck as well to achieve your goal, which means you need to get in shape. You need to get to the optimum level that you can within a reasonable amount of time before you start your goal. There should always be a checklist of that type that goes through this list. The first 5, first 3, first 4, first 5, 6, depending on the scenario, before you undertake a major undertaking. That's just how I look at it. You know what I mean? So that's the first thing. Get in bed. Why? Because you need your strength, you need rest, and you need to be stress-free. Another reason for good sleep is to eliminate stress. And we know that stress, or the lack thereof it, is positive for your health. So yes, get your butt into bed. And typically I like to get into bed historically around 10. I know some people or this guy says 9 o'clock. I mean, it's all up to you. As you get older, you're going to need less sleep. So let's move on to the next thing, because we got a few of them. So yeah, bedtime. Both of those things, we're in. All right? So back again to the next thing.
How do I get up at 4 a.m. every day without an alarm? I just go to bed at 9 p.m. It's not that impressive. I have an alarm to tell me when I go to bed. If you want to wake up ready to attack the day, if the first decision you get the chance to make is snoozing your alarm, you've just lost the battle.
So as he said, he doesn't have an alarm to wake up. He has an alarm when to go to bed. That sounds really cool to me, man, because you can sleep, you can stay up past your sleep alarm really easy. I mean, past your sleep time if you don't set it. It's happened to me. You got to keep checking the watch, be like, well, what time is it? Oh, shoot. Because you can get into something and before you know it's 10 or 11 o'clock. So yes, set your bedtime alarm, even if it's just a beep, just to remind you. Really good advice. That's not in my book, but the whole notion of sleep and bedtime is. So that's really cool. All right, so let's go on to the next thing.
Already hit subscribe. Which brings us to hack number 2, upgrade your TV to a library. I remember listening to
So you heard that? Like, so yeah, so you hear me now. Listen to me now. The man said upgrade your TV to a library. Wow, it's kind of funny. Right in here on my GPA cheat sheet, which is right after my intro. Hold on just a moment. Hold on. All right, after that, let me go to my GPA cheat sheet because it's introduction. Okay, a couple pages of that, talking to you guys. 10 life value system. And then the GPA cheat sheet. It says here, number 1. Remove TV and game station from your frequented place in the home. Remove it. Number 1. Can't see, this is too bright. But yeah, number 1. Why? Because it eats a whole lot of time. But I'll continue. Let's see what his next thing says here. So he's going to go into a little detail, but we need to go ahead. Okay, so what we got here? What's the next one?
Discipline. Which brings us to hack number 3, turn off all notifications. You may not know
Oh,
this,
interesting. Yeah. It's interesting that he mentioned that one. Hold on just a moment.
It just becomes your identity.
Hold on.
Discipline. Which brings us to hack number 3, turn off all notifications.
Okay, cool. So what was number 2? Hold on. We did number 2. Number 2 is what? Yeah, bedtime. So notifications is next. It was kind of crazy because he has it in his 13, whatever, 99% for discipline type of thing, whatever his title is. He has it as one of his 13. That being, what is he talking about here? Oh, come on, man. Ron, what are you doing?
Discipline. Which brings us to hack number 3, turn off all notifications.
So that one, right? So he's saying turn off all notifications. All notifications. It's funny. Even though it's not on my list and I have not consciously put this out as information for people to consume so that they can control and have better results with their time, it makes complete sense because I do it personally. Why? Because it's something that gets on my nerves. Just imagine sitting on your phone and throughout the day, this app sends you a notification about this. This app sends you a notification. They're literally wasting your time. And for me, I don't know how much you love having the phone in hand and social media. I don't like people interrupting me like that. And the phone in my hand is supposed to work for me. That's how I look at it. When people call me and they're constantly calling me and they're like, what's up? I'm trying to reach you. That doesn't happen to me, by the way, because I respond. But there are certain people that I respond in time, but think they're privileged because they have my number. And on occasion, throughout my lifetime as a business person and as an adult individual, I had to tell one or two people that the phone that I have is for my convenience, not for yours. That being said, apply that same philosophy to notifications. People are calling you all the time, sending you this, sending you that, letting you know who said a post, and literally your universe exists within this phone. Cut it out. Cut them off. Shut off all your notifications. Visit apps and places you need to handle business on a schedule that fits you. You may have a break at work. You may have a slow moment depending on what type of work you do. All right? And or you may get up early and have a coffee or tea and do these things. But don't let them tell you throughout your day, stop what you're doing and look at this phone so I can pull you in to something that they know is not going to be a momentary stop. You're going to be on this app for the next 10, 15 minutes. And then you may be on another. Before you know it, you've lost 30 minutes of your life, 20, 30 minutes of your life. Turn off all notifications. So that's what I say about that. Moving on to his next recommendation, which is to create your social media, to curate your social media, which means to basically cut out all the things that you should not be watching in your social media that aren't conducive to your goals. Simple. Go over to your list of goals. That's in a whole nother video. You already have mapped them out, set time, dates, and expectations for them to be completed. You've done other steps too. You've delineated all the steps that you need to take, little incremental steps, and you've started that process. You're going to go to that list and you're going to pull content ideas for your phone. I knew this was coming. It's okay. I'll figure out how to change this, but I like this camera so much. Maybe Canon has a hack. But anyway, I don't want to be distracted. So now when you open your social media feed, if you're a creative person that makes shea butter and you're in the midst of creating your product line on social media, TikTok, Instagram, everything coming back at you from those apps should be talking to you about creating your product, the business about it, the visuals of it, other creative, successful shea butter creators, ideas for packaging, marketing, how do I get funding, how do I up my channel, how do I get more people to watch? And guess what? You'll have just as much enjoyment doing that as it would be just surfing through seeing the latest nails or the handsome guy or the big booty, or because we're all guilty of it. You know, it's literally instant gratification along the lines of sexuality. That's one of the main things that pulls us in. I'm not saying eliminate your sexuality. Just put it at a time that you've scheduled. All right? Okay, so his next thing on his list was, he said to curate. So I would say schedule time used after you curate. So after you've curated your feed, right? The next thing you do is plug in on your calendar or on your daily things to do where I actually will spend time on social media. Because why? It is now serving you to achieve your goal. It's pushing you along with all of your other habits. And the segue on habits, before we go, I'll talk about that too. So two things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about decision, and we're also going to talk about habits before we get out of here. So anyway, let's keep going. And these are all habits, right? So we're talking about habits, but just a summation of it all. So back to him. All right? So
may not know this, but the software companies in Silicon Valley are engineering the distractions.
Right, so you're being distracted.
But I have a store and an alarm goes through to my phone, so I have to be able to answer it. Okay, so you're the only person in the history of the world that has a retail store that doesn't have your security alarm go to a professional? Most people don't realize that their need to always be in the loop, thumb on the pulse of their business, is actually distracting them from doing deep focused work and building that discipline muscle. Your goal should matter more than the notifications you're allowing. You should design a life that's more interesting.
So you get it. Notifications. Next.
To the work. Which brings us to number 4, hack your algorithm. This idea will
hack your algorithm is his basic approach to what I just said, which is get rid of all the things that aren't associated with your goals or uplifting you in life so you can get to your goals. Out of your social media feed is what he's saying there. Next, let's move on to the next one. Here.
4, and I stopped them. I said, yes. They're like, you don't even know what I asked. I have a system for packing. I have a system for my food prep. I have a system for travel. I have a system for everything. I have list upon list upon list. Why? Because if I was ever going to do it once, I'm going to write it down so that the next time it's easier on me and I don't forget anything. And as I build them, I can then give them to somebody else so they can do them for me to buy back my time. Checklists are the key to getting more time.
Wow. I love what he said there, man. Create systems, not just for yourself. And we do this. I've created systems for myself over the years. An example I use often is, I'm a New York City kid. We have keys all the time. We can't lose keys for a number of reasons. You can't get in the house, your mom gets mad, on and on and on. Being a latchkey kid, I had to make sure and develop a system as young as I was for not losing my key. Guess what that system was called? It was called a string, and you put it around your neck and you kept it there all day and you never took it off. The system was flawless and is still flawless till this day. If you want your kid to keep something like that, hang it around their neck. It's a real smart system. So, and there's others, systems that I use to not forget things when I leave the house. So I have a chant or a 5-word phrase that I use before I leave the house. Grab my money, my keys, my wallet, my phone, my gat. Yeah, those 5 things. And I say that now subconsciously without thinking about it before I leave the house all the time now. Because why I used to leave the house with one or the other. The other thing, the other system I use for the same control of this same thing is that once I'm back home, back in the house, that I empty immediately everything out of every pocket that I have into one spot. Have you ever lost your wallet, a credit card, a key, car key, who knows what, lost in the laundry for a week or two? Why? Because you didn't empty your pocket. Even money. I found money in pockets. And I know probably my wife, when I had one, found money in my pockets too. So we do it all the time. But to eliminate that, which I've done, is to empty everything out of my pocket in the same spot every day, every time. That way, I don't lose things. So systems. Yes, he is spot on. And I agree with him. Develop your systems. And as he was saying, more importantly, write them down so you can remember. But last and more importantly in the discussion on systems is so then if you're running a business, for example, or you have children in the home, you can then hand these systems off to someone else because you've written them down or they're so ingrained that you can pass them on. But writing them down and keeping them in one place is probably one of the best pieces of advice I've gotten in a long time, is to write down your habits in your system. And guess what? I'm going to write that down. Write down, pardon me. Write down habits and system. Habits for a systems library. Yeah, I like it. So yeah, man, there's always learning to be done. And today, I'm learning that I need to add a few tweaks to what I'm doing. And this should be cool. I like this idea, something to pass on. Also, this will allow me to develop the PDF freebies that I'm giving out to you guys on an ongoing basis, because I'll be writing down habits for systems in my library, and those habits and those systems I can then just basically give to you. So anyway, yeah, and there's going to be some good stuff. I think crazy, but anyway. So anyway, let's get back to him.
Checklists are the way that you stay disciplined in your
So
work,
systems,
so that you don't get
checklists,
distracted by things
tracking
that you don't
them.
have to do.
Not only that,
Most
writing them down,
disciplined
keeping them in
people
one
aren't
place. And if you're doing
superhuman.
that
They
for
just
your
write everything
business,
down. They take
I'm talking
everything in
over him. I'm sorry, if you're doing that for your business, you're winning. Right, the next one. The next
Which
one
brings
here
us number 6,
is
stack your habits. Every once in a while, I'll get a client
So he
who
has-
comes into my world.
so he does
and they're
have write it down.
I want to redesign everything. I want to get
So he
this
does
and
have-
change my business and do all this stuff. And they,
Okay, so we already talked about number 6 for him, pardon me, was write it down. I got to talk to you. Was write it down. We talked about both. So for him, number 5 and 6 were incorporated. Which one? Develop systems. And number 6, to write down these systems. Keep them in one spot, one little notebook. After a while, you'll have a library of systems and practices that you can use and hand on to either to you, as I said before, to family, business associates, so forth. Okay, number 7 is to stack habits. Take little small things like we just mentioned and stack them on top of each other. So now when I leave the house, I have a chant that gets all the things in my pocket that are supposed to be there. And then when I return back home, I then empty everything back out in the same space. Now, those 2 habits are now stacked, and I haven't lost keys in the past 20 years. No more. So stack your habits. And when you stack these habits, they add up to the result that you want, which is achieving that goal. And I'm not talking about goals with an S, because we can think about 5, 15 goals all at one time. That's not what this is about. This is about choosing one thing, choosing it, deciding on it, and then moving on it with a plan that's supported with structure, a foundation first, and then ultimately discipline, which is what got me here to his video in the first place. So let's continue. So the next thing he brought out was number 8, stacking habits. No, number 7.
They literally do everything, and they take massive action because they read about this. But what they really are doing is they're setting themselves up to fail. How many people do you know that like decide to get into fitness, and then all of a sudden they go to the gym twice in one day, and they start running, and then they're not eating properly, and then they crash, and then they give up? That happens all the time. See, I'm much more of a fan of massive action consistently. I'm more of a fan of saying, hey, let's stack our habits. Let's lock one in, but a big one. Maybe it's nutrition. Maybe it's working out. Maybe it's getting up earlier. But once we lock it in, then we can stack it. Once we plug in one, we can add another one easier once there's built consistency.
I love it. I love it.
James Clear said it best. He said, habits are the compounding interest of self-improvement.
Okay. We don't need any fancy talk. Stack your habits, one good habit after the next. Small incremental ones. And then you'll get to your goal of never losing your keys in 20 years. and then the discipline to do that every time I leave the house and every time I return. Thus, keys are in the spot where it's supposed to be right now. All right? And I don't have anyone to back me up. I'm a bachelor now. I live completely alone, so I can't call anyone to come get me. Babe, can you bring the key? I'm here or I'm there. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's continue on. Stack your habits. What's the next thing he's got for us? On his list, it says health and wellness. You know I am a big proponent of health and wellness. You know that. Because I follow this here. And I challenge you to follow this as well. Health and wellness. Okay? So let's see what he has to say about this. There's a chapter in the book on that, getting yourself together. And even when you're in shape, before you take on another endeavor, you should go through your ritual, your workout regimen, your food regimen, getting yourself together, sleeping well, getting your mind ready. Week or two before whatever new thing you're going to take on. It doesn't matter how much in shape you are or how successful you are. Get ready for the next endeavor. The same way, the same practices that you've always used for success. All right? So back again to...
Came to me and he was like, hey man, I want to produce more content. I said, no, you don't. He says, yes, I do. I said, prove it. I said, how? I said, you ready for this? He goes, yeah. I said, commit to doing 2 a day. Commit to doing 2 a day. If you do, you get to bring your girlfriend to a spa. If you don't, you have to run a marathon with no prep. And you have to go post on social media and tell everybody about it. And then he shook my hand. That is commitment. Because he made...
Time out. So commitment. His thing is on... That's number 8 he's talking about here. So I'll skip to health and wellness, which is number 9. That's after this. But yeah, commitment, very important and exactly the same in my book. It's exactly the same, even though it's specified for the first 3 chapters of building yourself. But the rest of the book is to literally help you learn something. The class you're in, the program you want to take. The Spanish class you've never taken that you said, I'm going to take in my ripe age of whatever. I'm going to take this class. This helps you get through it and maximize it and lock it in for the rest of your life so you can move on to your calling. And obviously, if it's Spanish, Spanish must be part of your calling. Go get it, man. Let this help you get it. So anyway, so commitment. And there are components to commitment. It's and one of the biggest components of commitment is telling someone, accountability, having someone that's going to ask you later on, yo, I thought you said you were going to do X. And that feeling comes upon you that you know, hey, man, I BS'd. And you're going to have to admit it. And if you don't want that feeling again, then you get yourself back where you're supposed to be and do what you're supposed to do. So when that person sees you again, you go, yeah, man, I'm actually on it. Let's hang out. Let's do whatever. You want to go with me next time? Whatever it might be. That person is your friend if they ask you. All right. So that's number 8 on his list. We're on the way. So number 9 is health. We know about health. So commitment. Let's go on to the next. Let's see.
Play it on weekends. Is that okay? Okay, cool. Get it out of your home. It's way easier to avoid the dragon than to slay it. Which brings us to hack number 9, make failure painful. This was actually painful, but the best decision I ever made. My first business coach was $1,500 a month.
It's interesting he says this. He says, make failure painful, right? I have a different philosophy, even though I agree with him 100%, and I like this example, and I'll encourage you to use it. But what I do is I place reward at the end of your work. Don't do anything rewarding until you've done what you're supposed to do. But when you do reward yourself, make it the best thing you can afford, the nicest thing you can do for yourself, or the coolest thing for that moment. Plan those moments and those things. It will motivate you. His thing is to, if you don't achieve your goal that you set for yourself, the small incremental steps, that you set a punishment as well. I like it. So not only do you reward yourself for the goal you've achieved, the next thing you do is say, if I don't achieve it, then I got to do this. I got to do 10 more push-ups or 15 more pull-ups or whatever the case might be, which, by the way, all works in your behavior, a benefit. But this is another thing he says in here. I'm not going to let him say it because, I'm trying to get to the end of this for you. What he also says is that make it something that's so dick dastardly that you're going to really hate to do it. Make it something like, give an enemy $100 or straight bucket naked down the street of church folk on a Sunday. That's motivation. But the thing is, if you don't do the thing you've set out to do, you have to do this thing. And I like it, man. I like it because I think people sometimes will do more to avoid pain than to get to pleasure. It's crazy how our mind works that way. Think about it. It may be working subconsciously in your background, things that are working in your background that determines your behavior, things that you know you're going to feel bad about, and it completely controls you. Another topic, another conversation. I always say this stuff. But anyway, number 9 for him was to, not health and wellness. My notes are off. Number 9 for him was create a punishment for things that you do not accomplish. Okay, sounds good to me. On to the next.
So here's a few ideas to make sure that it builds your discipline. First off, always have stakes involved. Anytime you make a commitment, you should create a scenario where if you don't achieve it, there's pain in your life. Have the stakes there. Put your money on the line. If you're like, how do I make this painful? I would make a donation to an organization you hate. Maybe it's the opposite political party you believe in or whatever it is. But if you don't achieve the thing you want, then you have to give a large amount of money to that organization. Or you
Got it? Okay, we talked about this. What's next?
hate. Number 3, embarrassment can also be a great one. You know, when I decided to do Project Visible,
Okay, this is just another way to embarrass yourself if you do not achieve your goal. Basically, punishing yourself for not achieving your goal. As I said, my philosophy is to plot out nuggets along the way to keep you going. So at the end of the week, go to that movie on a Friday or whatever the end of the week is for you. That way you work all the way from Monday with anticipation of getting to Friday where you've earned and done all the things you're supposed to do, that movie. And then plot another one. And then plot an end of semester. Plot a 3-month reward. Plot the end of the semester, whether it be that, about 16 weeks for a semester or a quarter is 10. Plan a very nice reward at the end of your semester, something you've paid for, had to pay into, or a trip, small, whatever it is. It will push you through your semester and you'll have a great time. It will push you through that time period, no matter what it is. And it'll get you to that goal a lot better, feeling a lot more accomplished and more focused, by the way. And it is a disciplinary tool.
goal. Which brings us to number 10, start with the big domino. Most people believe that we build momentum. I think it's a complete lie. I think the best thing you can do is start your day with the hardest problems. That's where you have.
Yeah, I've always been a proponent of that. I think it's one of the laws of physics. Maybe not that deep, but it's that deep for me because it's a principle that has worked in many different places. And you'll find that with principles that you could take them and apply it to something else if it's a fundamental principle, and it will have some value. So if you take something like starting the biggest thing first, now you don't want to bite off too much and you can chew. That's another thing. But this is, once you understand the work you have to do, where do you start? Do you start with a piece of warm-up work that may take some time out? Who knows? Or do you start with the biggest problem so you could attack it, work on it with all of your energy heightened? You're fresh. If it's in the morning, 5 a.m., you're refreshed and you're ready to go. It should be the time where you're best suited for a fight mentally. And that's the time to tackle big problems. So combine that 5 a.m. with the biggest problem, you're going to get the best results. But even if it isn't 5 a.m., early in the morning, let's say you do your homework in the evening, like I used to do. All students come home, they do homework in the afternoon. It's not the optimal time for energy. Even in that scenario, if you don't have a whole lot of energy, would you recommend attacking the biggest problem first or last? Because if you use up all your energy on the small problem, by the time you get to the last portion of whatever you have to do, you'll be depleted, correct? So yes, flip it around. Always attack the biggest assignment first. And if it's about school, it's normally math that you have to do a bunch of repetitive problems that may take about an hour or more if you're learning the rudimentary steps of math, whether it be algebra, trigonometry, and so on and so forth. These things take a lot of repetition to get down the formulas. So you'll find that professors will give you 30, 40 problems, 15, 20 problems, and it will take up a great portion of your homework time. Get those out of the way first. Another example, I used to work for a shipping company that sends stuff all over the world, all different sizes, all the way up to motorcycle type sizes, maybe a little bit bigger. And we had to send these things all over the world. We received them on the dock, we logged them in, we got them all ready, we consolidated everything, and then we packed them to go to the different regions of the world, England, France, Australia, so on and so forth. We literally were sending out from the hub in Los Angeles at LAX packages and boxes, freight actually, all over the world. And when it came time to packing these things to send them out, to pack and be the most efficient in the process, meaning that you wanted to get as many packages into a container as possible to maximize the value of the container. To do that, the process was to start with the biggest items first. Why? Because after you pack all the small things, it is very difficult to take an extremely large item and squeeze it into a space with a bunch of little stuff in it. However, if you take a very large item and stick it into a space, and then you take all the other small items, you could fit them in a lot easier. Once again, the principle of attacking the big problem first. So let's move on to the next thing.
You have your most creativity in your life. Which brings us to hack number 11, delete useless decisions. Do you want to take a guess what's in my closet? The blue shirt. A blue shirt. I only wear blue shirts. I have thousands of blue shirts. I have all.
Now, I don't agree with this one. Personally, I like to dress. It's one of the guilty pleasures in life. And for me, it's one of the things you get to control, which is your image. And for black men, there's a lot of whole things going on in this world which are basically working against you in regards to your image, right? But there's one place they can't do that. They can't do it here. They can't do it with me. They can't do it with how I present myself, my personal image, how I present me to the world. So for him, he presents himself to the world in a t-shirt because he's a muscular guy, want to show off his muscles because he finally got in shape when he was in his 20s and he was a fat soul. So anyway, he wants to wear t-shirts. I get it. It doesn't look bad on him. It's his thing. George Jetson wore the same white shirt and you know what I'm saying. All good. But for me, it's different. But do I agree with what he's saying? 100%. Should you eliminate having to make decisions on things you don't need to? Absolutely. Absolutely. Another one of the reasons you write things down is so if I write it down, it eliminates my mind. It frees up my mind to concentrate on any other stuff. If I write it down, I've always said this, it's not from him. If I write it down, I don't have to remember it. It frees me up to do other stuff. This is another philosophy I have that's kind of like that, which is if you call me, I'll pick up. Why? Because I'd rather answer it now than have it to be another thing to do. That's just me. So this is in the lines with him. But my thing is the example is the phone. If you call me and I'm available, it's not a distraction to me. It's a distraction that I have to look at the phone, see who it is, not answer it, register in my brain that I have to call someone back, what time I'm going to call them back. Nah, forget all that. I'm set up for this. If I'm free and I have time or I'm doing what I'm needing to do and it's an important call, I don't mind having that as a momentary distraction because it saves me time as a long-term thing to do on my list, which is for me now an ongoing distraction. Does that make sense? Anyway, tell me if if that makes sense to you, if you have another view or angle on it. So yeah, so all in the lines of basically stealing back your time, eliminate useless decisions. Like for me, I'm getting to the point, even though I enjoy having a great meal and I really appreciate having the skill of being able to cook, I don't want to cook anymore. Why? Because I'd rather do something else. I don't want to clean the kitchen and wash the dishes anymore for the rest of my life. Not one more dish. Not because I've risen to this point of elite bourgeoisiness. No, nothing's beneath a man that wants to change the world. I will work to the bone. It doesn't matter what it is. But there are far more important things for me to do than that. And I'm tired of it. A perfect example. So for me, I'm working right now on getting a cleaning lady to stop by once a week, clean everything up around here, and also a way that I can get prepped food. Simple things. I've reduced my diet to really simple, wholesome foods. You know what I mean? So, and if I need to splurge in any way, then I'll do that on any given time. But food prep for me is pretty simple. You know what I mean? So if I can get these things under control, if I had that to do or nothing, I'd rather do nothing, actually. Truthfully. So, man, yeah, I could tell. You could tell it's on my nerves. It's something that's been irking me, man. But anyway, so yeah, eliminate useless time. We're almost there, guys. We're moving on, and I'm glad you are hanging out with me. Hopefully I have some value for this morning.
I don't want to have to think. When I sat down,
he don't want to have to think. He's eliminating his decision. Let's see what the last two here is.
Which brings us to number 12, find disciplined friends. When I decided
finding friends. It's one of the things I told you, eliminate distractions. And yeah, I was controversial. Yeah, when I said eliminate distractions, I said TV, I said the opposite sex. Unless you're working towards a lasting relationship built on courting. Not I'm dating somebody, hanging out with them, they're cool. None of that. I mentioned this before. It is a distraction. If you're working on building a family unit at the portion in time where you are the youngest and best apt to create another family, do that. Other than that, you're literally wasting your time, and women are giving away your value, and men, you possibly will give away your pocketbook for the next 20 years, which may devastate you as a man financially. So I talked about all these things. And the thing I mentioned in that offering was friends. He's mentioning it as well. I'm not such a crazy guy. Am I? People that I've known my entire life may be considered friends. However, I don't talk to them. Why? Because they're not on the same path I'm on. I had to acquire new friends. Friends in music, friends in creative spaces, friends in coding, friends in learning. And most of these friends that I had before have been replaced with YouTube friends, for example. People that I watch on YouTube and spend time with. And it's funny, the main draw on YouTube is the relationship you develop with the content creator. You actually like them. Find people like that to spend time with. Not just people on YouTube, but people in real life that are on the same path. May not be doing the exact same thing, but maybe the tide or may rise by being right next to them. You may rise along with them. So that's a philosophy he's mentioning here. I've talked about it before. And guess what? It's in my book and it's in all my content. All right, so let's go. We're almost out of here.
Explore what the world had for me. I also knew I was looking to.
So let's get to the last one.
Which brings us to the last hack, number 13, visualize your goals. Guess how many times I look at my goals? Yearly?
Okay,
monthly?
the last hack.
Weekly? No. At least 3 times a day.
Man, this is a simple one. But do we do it? Which is post your goals and refer to them often. Do it today. Now, before we get out of here, you know I always say music is life for me. But before we get out of here, there are a couple of things that I need to wrap up for you. Is the list, which is 1, go to bed on a good time, normally before 10. That way you can get up at the earliest hours and make full advantage and take full advantage of early, quiet morning time. Number 2, eliminate TV. Turn off notifications on phones and everything else. Curate your content so that the content works for you and it helps you and enlightens you. 5, systems for everything. Write them down, codify them, give them away for free like I'm going to do. or keep them and hand them off to family and friends, and also for people inside of your business. Number 6, write it down. Why? Write it down so you don't forget it. Write it down so you can pass it on. All that stuff, write it down. And I know the pen, the pad has gone to the wayside, right? It's one of the secret weapons of the successful. Keep a pen and pad in your book, bag, somewhere next to you in your briefcase. And when you get a moment and you need to do something or something comes across, you may want to write it down. Do that, man. Number 7, stack your habits. 1, 2, 3 small habits along the way. Why? Because that is the structure you're building. The foundation is the discipline. Right? This foundation, then there's structure, then there's discipline to carry it out. Pardon me, that's what I was trying to say. So stack those habits. Number 8, accountability. Find someone that is going to hold you accountable, right? Number 9, create negative ramifications for not doing the things you're supposed to do. That's what he says, but I say do both. Punish yourself and reward yourself. Punish yourself for when you don't achieve the goal and reward yourself immensely for when you do. Number 10, do the big job first, always. Number 11, delete useless tasks out of your life, right? For me, even though I love good food and I can cook, I don't want to cook anymore. To me, it's useless. Got to get somebody to do that for me. Number 12, find new friends. Find new friends. If those friends you have aren't along the lines of achieving the goals that you would like to achieve, or if you guys can't propel each other, find new friends. Communicate with them, but find new friends. Don't eliminate them. Find new friends. Try to bring them in, but if they're not the kind that want to do what you want to do, your calling is yours. You have to pursue it. All right? And lastly, number 13, visualize your goals. Write them down and put them in a place you can see them on a daily basis. Put them on the wall, put them in your phone, put them in your notebook, and consciously put them in your calendar so that, or a place on your calendar on a daily basis where it tells you, hey, review your goals. I think that's a good idea. I'm writing that one down. Today, I'm going to put review goals. Review goals inside of my calendar. Inside of my calendar. And that is, once again, another habit that I'll stack. Man, I'm missing you guys once again. Always, you can tell I enjoy this. Hopefully, I didn't keep you too long. But what I want to say is add something to your bag every day. They're like building blocks. One of the things you can add is getting up early. It's not so hard. Actually, it's one of the easiest things to do. How do you do it? By going to bed just an hour earlier than you normally do. Most people should be in bed by 10 o'clock unless I don't know what you do, work the night shift? I don't know. Get your butt in bed, man. Get a good night's rest. And we'll see you another half. It's one of the things you need to do today to become the person you need to be tomorrow. Let learning be your legacy. When you do, get there. Remember, it's 80% above the brain. Drop a rope down and help somebody else. Legacy of Learning. LegacyLearningCubed.com. All right, you guys, make sure and jump on over to my ronraphael.com or the channel and ask me for what you want, man. If you want a free module, if you want the introduction, if you want a GPA cheat sheet, it's fine with me. At the end of my videos moving forward, you'll start seeing links for these things, and it'll be a lot easier to obtain. Have a great day, man. Have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful Saturday. Ron Raphael, Legacy Learning. Add something new to your bag every day, every week, until it adds up and represents not only just you, but you pass it on as a legacy. Take care. Peace out, man. You can always go with music. Music is life. Who's praying? All right, man. It is Saturday. So I got to get on to the other tasks. Yeah. I got to get the sound on. Yeah. Gotta turn on my discotheque speaker box for y'all. But anyway, man, on to the rest of my day. You enjoy yours. Ron Raphael, Legacy of Learning. Peace. This is my offering to you and to the world. We all gotta get back. This is my way. You find yours. Peace and love.